The first time Maya opened the door, the cold hit her like a hand on her throat. It was February in Toronto, the kind of winter that makes your eyelashes sting. But this was different. This wasn't outside cold. This was deep, unnatural cold. Air so sharp it tasted like coins. Her breath turned white instantly and hung in the doorway like a warning. They'd bought the house on a quiet street near the edge of the city in 2008, when everyone was nervous and listings moved fast. It had old brick, a narrow staircase, and that hopeful smell of fresh paint trying to cover years of other lives. The inspector said the furnace was solid. The vents were clean. The heating worked. And it did. Every room warmed up, except one. It was a small bedroom at the back, with a single window looking out at a leafless maple. The moment you stepped inside, your skin tightened. The floorboards felt like they'd been stored in a freezer. The air pressed against you, heavy and still, as if the room didn't breathe the same oxygen as the rest of the house. Maya tried to laugh it off. "A draft," she said. "Old houses." But a draft doesn't frost the inside of a window in July. Spring arrived. The neighborhood turned green. Kids biked past with dripping popsicles. Maya opened the cold room again and felt the same bite. The thermostat read 22 degrees. The vent poured warm air like it was trying its best. Still, the room stayed cold enough that her fingertips ached after a minute. Her boyfriend, Derek, started treating it like a dare. He brought in a space heater, watched it glow orange, waited. Nothing. He taped plastic over the window. He sealed the baseboards. He checked behind the outlet covers like a man hunting secrets. The cold didn't move. It simply held its ground. That's when the house began to feel like it was listening. At night, the hallway outside that door seemed darker than it should. Their cat would pad up to it, sit perfectly still, and stare at the crack beneath the frame, then leave, tail low, like it had heard something it didn't want to understand. In late October, a heating technician named Paul came over. He was blunt, the kind of guy who trusted numbers more than stories. He walked in with a thermometer gun, took one look around and frowned. "Your furnace is fine," he said. "Your ductwork is fine." Then he opened the cold room door and stopped talking. Paul lifted the thermometer and aimed it at the wall. His screen flashed, and his eyebrows rose. He aimed it at the floor. The reading dropped again. "Where's the cold coming from?" Maya asked, trying to sound casual, like this was just an annoying home ownership thing. Paul didn't answer right away. He pressed his palm against the wall, held it there, and pulled back as if he'd touched ice. "Something behind this," he finally said. "Something that shouldn't be." They cut a small opening in the drywall near the baseboard. The moment the panel loosened, a gust of air spilled out, so cold Maya actually gasped. Not a breeze, a breath. Paul shined a flashlight into the gap. There was an older layer of wall behind the wall, dark wood, and nailed to it, half buried in insulation, was a small metal vent that didn't connect to any modern ducting. It disappeared downward into the bones of the house. "Old coal chute?" Derek offered. Paul shook his head slowly. "Coal chutes don't blow air up." They followed the vent line into the basement, under shelving and dust and forgotten paint cans. Behind a stack of boards, they found a sealed door in the foundation. Concrete patched over, like someone had tried to erase it. The air around that patch felt colder than everything else. Maya stood there, heart thudding, realizing the room wasn't just cold. It was connected. And whatever was down there had been waiting a long time to be left alone. They didn't break the seal. They called a contractor, then another. Some refused the job. One just stared at the patch and said, "I don't like this," and left. So they did the only thing they could. They reinforced the wall, insulated everything, replaced the door to the cold room, and locked it. The house stayed warm. Life moved on. Friends came over. Holidays happened. But every summer, when heat shimmered off the sidewalks and their living room felt like a sunlit oven, Maya would pass the cold room door and feel it, like a thin, icy finger pressing from the other side. And she'd wonder if the room was cold because it couldn't be warmed, or because something beneath the house was still breathing. If you want more true-feeling mysteries like this, stories that make ordinary places feel haunted, please like, share, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, would you have opened that sealed door? It helps the channel grow, and I read every one.